So you're a young professional, right? You're earning good money, you're starting to save, but then you hit this classic dilemma. Two massive life goals are staring you down, both wanting a huge chunk of your cash. Do you invest in your career, or do you invest in your first major asset, like a house?
That's the exact question we're going to tackle here. We're going to break down how you choose between funding a top-tier MBA and saving up for that down payment on your first home. And you'll see that by using a really clear framework, the answer, well, it might not be what you expect. So, how are we going to solve this puzzle? We're going to use a powerful concept called goal-based investing. It's a game changer, really. It stops you from just, vaguely saving for the future, and instead, it forces you to attach every single rupee you invest to a real specific goal. It turns dreams into an actual, actionable plan.
To make this less theoretical and a lot more real, let's meet Ankit. He's 26, he's a software engineer, and his financial challenge? It probably sounds pretty familiar to a lot of you. He's got these huge ambitions, but a limited paycheck to make them happen.
All right, first things first. Before we can even think about a plan for Ankit, we have to get real about the numbers. And I'm not just talking about the price tag of these goals today. I'm talking about what they're actually going to cost when it's time to pay up. Okay, so at first glance, here are the two goals, side by side. The MBA is 2 years away, costing 25 lakhs today. The house down payment, that's 5 years out at 16 lakhs. Seems straightforward enough, right? But the real problem, the thing that creates the whole dilemma, is hiding right there at the bottom: inflation. First, let's look at that MBA. That 8% inflation rate on education costs? It's absolutely brutal. It means that 25 lakh rupee fee skyrockets to over 29 lakh rupees in just 2 short years. That is a massive jump. And you might think the house is a safer bet, but nope. With 6% real estate inflation, that 16 lakh down payment swells to more than 21 lakhs in 5 years. So now, you're not just looking at two goals, you're looking at this gigantic financial mountain Ankit has to climb.
And here's the real gut punch. Ankit can save 40,000 rupees a month, which sounds pretty good, right? But when you put it up against the future costs of his dreams, it suddenly looks like a drop in the bucket. This is the moment where just saving isn't enough. You need a strategy. So what's a guy to do? Let's break down 3 different paths Ankit could take. Each one represents a completely different set of priorities, and as we'll see, they lead to completely different outcomes.
When you boil it down, he really has 3 choices. He can go all in on the MBA, putting most of his cash there. He could try to play it safe with a balanced approach, splitting his savings right down the middle. Or he could prioritize the house and just assume he'll take a loan for the MBA later on.
Now this is key. There's no magic bullet here. Each path has a pretty big but attached. You focus on the MBA, you have to take on debt. You try the balanced path, you risk not having enough for either goal. And if you prioritize the house, you're pushing back that huge salary jump an MBA could give you. Okay, so we've got 3 paths, 3 major trade-offs. What's the right move? Well, the analysis leads to an answer that's kind of counterintuitive. It might even go against everything you've ever been told about being good with money, especially when it comes to debt.
And that brings us to the big idea here. We're all taught to avoid debt like the plague, right? But what if the smartest investment you could possibly make isn't in stocks or real estate, but in yourself? The return on your own career potential can be that powerful.
This is so important. It turns out the order in which you tackle your goals can be even more crucial than how much you save. By getting his MBA first, Ankit isn't just getting a degree. He's fundamentally changing his earning power for the rest of his life, which makes every goal after that so much easier to hit.
Okay, let me show you how this actually plays out on a timeline. It's pretty amazing. Ankit takes out a loan and starts his MBA. 2 years later, he graduates with a way bigger salary. And because his income is so much higher, he saves so aggressively that he hits his house down payment goal by year 6. Years faster than if he had saved for the house first. It's a perfect example of using short-term debt for a massive long-term gain. So that's Ankit's story. But what does all of this mean for you and your money? Let's distill this whole journey down into a simple, practical playbook that you can use for your own big financial decisions.
It really just comes down to these 4 steps. First, identify your goals and actually quantify them. Give them a real number and a real deadline. Second, prioritize them. What's a must-have versus a nice-to-have. Third, match your investments to the goal's timeline. And finally, and this is maybe the most important step, you have to monitor and adjust. Life changes, and your financial plan has to be able to change with it. All right, let's wrap this up. If you remember anything from this, make it these 5 things. First, vague goals don't work. You need hard numbers. Second, the sequence of your goals can literally change everything. Third, don't be afraid of good debt. An education loan can be a powerful tool. Fourth, let the timeline of your goal, not your age, dictate your investments. And finally, your financial plan is not set in stone. It's a living document. Review it often.
So I want to leave you with this one last thought. We spend so much time looking for the next smart investment, right? That one asset that's going to grow and build our wealth. But in all that planning, what if we forget that the most important asset we'll ever have, the one with the most explosive growth potential, has been us all along?